Hello, everyone. I'm glad that we're all on this call this evening, our virtual event. Typically, at the beginning of any in-person event for the Chamber, I would count to 3 and I would shush. Yet with a virtual event, you're all muted. So I guess there is a benefit to some of this not in-person stuff. So I won't have to do that. So thank you for being here with us this evening. My name is Stina Duva. I am the President and CEO of the West Orange Chamber of Commerce. And welcome to the first ever, and I honestly hope the last ever, virtual Hob Nob. And I don't say that because I don't think we're going to provide you with an informative evening. I know that will be the case. It will be an informative evening. Yet I really miss seeing fully clothed people in 3D. I miss being able to see shoes. I miss air hugs. Not air hugs. I miss in-person hugs. This whole air hug thing really doesn't work for me. I like to give really good bear hugs. So one day soon we will be able to be back in person again. I also was hoping that we'd be able to be drinking beer this evening and enjoying some great barbecue this evening. Now, I do have a cup in hand, but people that know me know this is not beer in here because I really have an aversion to beer ever since college, but that's a long story, actually short story. So I hope you have a great evening with us this evening. We were supposed to be at the beautiful Ocoee Lakeshore Center, and we had planned for months with the city of Ocoee and our team to provide a wonderful event for you in a great atmosphere, great air conditioning, because some of our events over the past hasn't been as air conditioned as we would like. So it was all wonderful until COVID-19 hit us. And then the cases kept rising. And we just said, you know what, we have to go to Plan B. Since we are not in phase 3, we needed to be in Plan B, which is this virtual event. So thank you though to the city of Ocoee, even though I know the Chamber building is here in the city of Winter Garden, but thank you to the city of Ocoee for working with us so hard. And it was not their fault that we could not do this in person. It was just something that we all knew that it just wasn't the right time to deliver an in-person event, to be respectful of our candidates and our entire community. But thank you, and we do hope to be back to the city of Ocoee at the Lakeshore Center, perhaps by the end of the year, but certainly for Best Fest, which we will bring back as soon as we can in 2021. So thank you to the city of Ocoee. And thank you also to all the wonderful, generous sponsors that we are working with today, even on this virtual event. We were all disappointed that we couldn't do this in-person event for you. But as I said, we just didn't think it was the right time to do that. So we were working with Orlando Health though, and we had all the protocol and all the safety measures in place. We were going to have temperature checks. We were going to have hand sanitizing stations. We were making masks mandatory. We wanted to make sure that we were doing our 6-foot distancing, and we were putting markings on the floor, and we had it all planned out. But then we realized that could we really keep you safe? You see, this is a political event, right? Lots of politicians, and we know the politicians have a tendency to speak loudly. And we know with the normal person, average person, right? Our spittle travels, they say, what, at least 8 feet? And we thought that a politician's spittle would probably travel even farther, and we were not sure that we could keep you all safe. Now, here's the time where if this was an in-person event, you'd all be cracking up laughing, because honestly, this is probably the best joke I have all evening. But unfortunately, the Chamber team would not give me a laughter soundtrack. So I don't think we have laughter, and I'm disappointed for that, but I'm sure you're all laughing. So those are the people that the Chamber pays, the Chamber team. So thank you so much, Chamber team. They all say they are not laughing at me, they are laughing with me. We shall see. Okay. Yeah, that's Krista. Thank you, Krista. So times like this are when you really do know who your friends are and who your supporters are. And our wonderful sponsors are exactly that, supporters and friends to our business community. So I want to thank those sponsors who have shown tremendous confidence in this organization to be able to deliver important information to you in an unusual time and in a different format than has been typical for the many years of the Chamber. So special thanks, of course, to the University of Central Florida, to Charter Communications, Walt Disney World, the West Orange Political Alliance, and Observer Media Group. Their sponsorship demonstrates the confidence in this organization and the value that we bring to our community. And we could not do what we do without all of you. So thank you so much. And last, but certainly not least, our presenting sponsor is Orlando Health. We have been fortunate to have Orlando Health in our community for many years now. They are a world-class healthcare provider. They are a community partner. They are a community trustee of our chamber, and they have truly demonstrated their worth in our community in good times, but certainly in these bad times. So let's watch the video from Orlando Health.
While never to be taken for granted, safety and protection at our facilities for patients, loved ones, and employees is without question. Our commitment is unwavering, and that won't stop. We're confident that Orlando Health is the safest environment for giving and receiving care. And while our gowns and gloves, glasses and masks may hide our smiles, it's the compassion and care that shines through.
Thank you so much to Orlando Health. We are expecting to see Mark Marsh join us in just a little bit, and if we do, he is the president and CEO of Orlando Health Central Hospital and Orlando Health Horizon West Hospital. If he's able to join us, we will interrupt the regular scheduled programming and we will ask him to join us. But at this time, I do want to thank the other trustees that we have with us. I know there are many that are joining us, watching us this evening, as well as the Board of Directors of the West Orange Chamber of Commerce. I want to give special acknowledgement to our chairwoman this year. This certainly hasn't been the year I think that Deborah Rios-Barnes signed up for. She is with CenturyLink, and I told her, Deborah, it is really easy to be our chairwoman. I had no idea what was going to happen with us and to us in this year of COVID-19. But she has been a wonderful chairwoman. And of course, she is my favorite chairwoman of the West Orange Chamber for 2020. Sorry, I had to add that part in, Deborah, but so many other board members would be so jealous right now if I said you were my favorite of all time. So, but that's a private conversation we can have later on. So thank you again to the board and to the trustees. Do want to make sure that you all know that all the information about our chamber and a full listing of all of our board of directors and our trustees and our upcoming events and everything there is to know about the chamber, the political alliance, and our foundation can be found under wochamber.com. So please visit that. And before I turn this over to my MC for this evening, I just wanted to make sure that you knew of some housekeeping rules. Yes, even in a virtual event, there are housekeeping rules, right? So since you are muted, yet we do have the opportunity, and I hope we don't, but to perhaps make a mistake and maybe staff clicks on you and all of a sudden the video is on and you show up. So please make sure you are fully clothed because we don't want you to be embarrassed, nor do we want to embarrass ourselves. Please make sure your audio is in fact turned off in case we should happen to turn it on, because you really don't want to have to be apologizing for things that are being broadcast. Not only on Facebook Live, but this is being recorded. So we just want to make sure you don't embarrass yourselves nor us by comments that you are going to regret later on. Hopefully you have your food and beverage in hand. Mine is certainly in hand. I have been sipping it and making sure it was just perfect since earlier on this afternoon, and it is, I think, just right. So make sure you are comfortable and make sure you know where your restroom is. If you're home or at your office, you should know where your restroom is located. And I also want you to remember to vote. The voting will close at 6:35. The voting was sent to you in an email, and it's very simple. You just click on it, and then the ballot shows up. I mean, I voted at least 200 times, so I know it works. Just kidding, people. I don't want you to think I voted 200 times. We did some sample practice to make sure that this system really did work for us. I did not vote 200 times. Honestly, I voted one time. So please make sure that you vote. It's a wonderful system, and we do want to share those results with you a little bit later on in the evening, but voting ends at 6:35 p.m. Let's see, also, We want to make sure that you know that you can see this on Facebook Live, that this will be on the Chamber website after this. It'll be on wochamber.com. We will send out a post email that will show everything that's happened this evening with the results. The videos that our candidates submitted to us prior to this evening are already housed on the Chamber website. So there's very many opportunities for all of you to share with friends and colleagues and relatives to make sure that they know all about our candidates so that they can make the best and most informed decision during our primary and general election. There is no more important thing that each of us can do this year than is to vote. It is crucial for the future of our country. So thank you for all being here this evening. And now I do plan on turning this over to our MC this evening. Our MC this evening is a Chamber Board member. He is a West Orange resident, a consummate professional that apparently doesn't know how to say no to me, and for that, I so appreciate him. He is the Vice President of Public Affairs and Marketing for Valencia College. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Jay Galbraith. He's going to be unmuted, I know he is. Hi, Jay. We almost had him.
Okay, there we go.
There you are. Hi, Jay.
Then let's start video. Okay. So that covers the first thing that I wanted to say to everybody is everyone needs to be patient tonight. We are virtual. I know all of us have gotten used to this virtual environment and learning and how to go to meetings with shorts on and have on a shirt, nice shirt and a blazer. So yes, for full disclosure, I do have on golf shorts with this golf shirt and blazer. So we're thrilled that you're joining us, Stina. Thank you. Appreciate all that you and your team have done. You know, the West Orange Chamber, once again, when our community needs us, they step forward, and you have stepped forward in these last 4 or 5 months, serving our community, serving businesses, serving community organizations. So once again, Stina, you and the West Orange Chamber have proven why you are one of the best chambers in all of America. So thank you so much for that. Thank you. Right now, it looks like we have almost 100 folks that are formally viewing us on Zoom, and then well over that on Facebook Live. So thank you for joining us. Feel free to text your friends and others and ask them to join us. Also, feel free to comment on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and make comments about tonight's event. So thank you. Let me just say this.
Hey, Jay, could I interrupt you? Because I know that we have Mark Marsh on.
Absolutely. So Stina, you're always in charge. We're used to that. So if you want Mark to do what Mark's going to do, I will be glad to stop for a second.
See, this is why we asked you to be our MC. You know the rules in my world. So thank you. I so appreciate that. My husband doesn't even listen to me as much. So thank you.
Go for it. Yes.
So at this time, I know that we have Mark Marsh, who is a Chamber Board member. But as I mentioned earlier, he has a much more important title than being our Chamber Board member, even though I think that's pretty cool. He is the President and CEO of Orlando Health Central Hospital, as well as the Horizon West Hospital for Orlando Health. So Mark, please join us.
Thank you, Stina. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Great. Jay, good thing we learned that early on, right, sir, that she is always in charge.
Yes, sir.
Well, good. Well, thank you. Let me interrupt just for a second here. So hopefully you got to see the video, but as Stina and Jay said, I know most of you get a chance to work with you on a daily basis, but my name is Mark Marsh and the president of Orlando Health Central Hospital. And on behalf of Orlando Health, and in particular Health Central Hospital, I'd like to thank you for your continued support of our organization. As you saw in the video across Orlando Health, our facilities team members remain prepared and able to care for any patient that comes through our doors. While the past 4 months have been extremely challenging for our hospital, I'm extremely proud and thankful for the physicians, nurses, and other team members that I'm blessed to work with each day. We have felt the support of the West Orange community every step of the way, and for that, we are extremely grateful. We are proud to be the presenting sponsor of tonight's Hob Nob because we know it is important to get to know the candidates, those who are going to be making important decisions impacting the West Orange community. We hope tonight you enjoy the opportunity to learn more about each of the candidates. And on behalf of the physicians, nurses, and team members of Health Central Hospital, have a great night and thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Stina.
And please make sure you thank all of the wonderful healthcare workers that you have over at Health Central. I know just this past week, there was a special Blue Heart that was commemorated at Health Central. I think it was donated by CEMEX and some other wonderful community partners. And it's a tribute to all of the healthcare providers. And thank you for everything that all of your people are doing to keep our community safe. So thank you. And now I'm going to go back over to Jay, and I'm going to be quiet.
Well, thank you, Stina. I know that will be hard for you, so you can work on that. So like Stina, I have a drink. I hope that you've got a glass of wine or a Coke or something. I know that if he were here, our good friend Randy June would be buying everyone drinks tonight, but we'll have to get a rain check from Randy. So with that, let me just say this about tonight and about the process. Elections, as we all know, in many ways are the high church of democracy. And tonight is really a lead-up service to Election Day. And so I would just say thank you to our candidates. There's really two ways that you measure a democracy in this process. And it is the candidates who will put their names forth on the ballot, and also the access as well as the turnout at elections. And so I have been involved in elections for over 30 years, and every election, people say it's the most important election we've ever had. And I'm convinced that every election is the most important election we have. So thank you to our candidates who are participating. Thank you to those tonight who are listening and involved in their campaigns. We appreciate it. So let me just say this, just would ask your grace in this process tonight, and then would also ask that you vote. So a lot of the candidates, this voting is important tonight. They want to come out of the gates and show that they're strong in West Orange County. So make sure that you vote. I would just say to you is just be aware that tonight's voting is not brought to you by Vladimir Putin or the Russian state. They are not handling tonight's elections. Stina is, and so I know that they will be straightforward and honest. So with that, let me go through kind of our process, and then we'll get started. Understand all candidates who are on the ballot in West Orange County in some form or fashion were invited to participate tonight. Some chose not to and some could not, but just I want you to know for full access, everyone was invited. Also, let me go through the rules tonight. We will be doing kind of two things. We'll be doing a debate in two races, District 44, as well as state attorney, as well as we will be doing some 1-minute candidate introductions in other races. So just know that in the debates, we will kind of do the normal 1-minute opening, and then for each side, 1 minute per questions each side, and then 1 minute close. And so just be aware of that. Tonight's questions in the debate were provided to me through the chamber staff. I had no involvement in the questions at all. My role tonight is as a master of ceremonies. So just understand that. So I'm going to take about a 2-minute break or a 2-second break, and then we are going to get started. I'm going to ask the chamber staff to make sure what our backgrounds are in just a second. Will be our candidates in the state attorney's race, as well as myself emceeing, because right now the background I'm seeing is Stina's. So let's make sure that everyone's background that you're going to see tonight. So to the chamber staff, would ask that you get the backgrounds ready. So let's go ahead and put our state attorney candidates forward. They are Judge Belvin Perry and Mr. Ryan Williams. They are our candidates for state attorney. We appreciate them taking the time tonight and joining us. So to our chamber staff, do we have them ready to go? Do we have Judge Perry and Mr. Williams?
Yes, sir, we sure do. They just need to turn on their video and we'll be ready to go.
All right, Judge Perry and Mr. Williams, if you'll do us a favor, turn on your video, and then that way the chamber staff will show your video as well as mine. Can you do that for us?
I have tried, but it says that I can't start my video because the host has disabled it.
Ooh.
Well, Judge, you're now finding out what it's like to be on the other side of a courtroom. So, can you handle that for us, Carrie?
There we go.
I'm live now.
Okay, you're live. And how about Mr. Williams?
Sure.
There we go. All right, fantastic. All right, we are thrilled the three of you are here, and thank you for joining us. Thank you both for your service to our community. Both of you have served our community in many ways, and we appreciate that. So let me begin. There was a flip of the coin in the chamber building. I was not there. I can't testify to its legitimacy, but I'm reading the script, and I'm told that Judge Perry won the coin toss. So Judge Perry, you are welcome to start for 1 minute, and then we will go to Mr. Williams. We do have a timer, and that timer will kind of, if you'll see Carrie, she'll hold up. Carrie, can you just kind of show us what you're going to hold up? Okay. You will see that at 15 seconds, and you'll see the stop. You know, if you go a couple seconds over, that's fine. But if you start doing the full preaching sermon, I will ask you to stop. So is that a deal, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Judge Perry, please start us off with a 1 minute introduction.
Hi, I'm Belvin Perry, and I'm running for state attorney of the Ninth Judicial Circuit to restore trust and competency back into that office. My experience as a judge and former prosecutor is second to none. I served as your chief judge for 18 out of the 25 years on the bench. I was also the presiding judge of the case of State of Florida versus Casey Anthony. I've handled thousands of cases as a prosecutor and a judge, and have tried every type of case within the criminal justice system. I've managed budgets in excess of $200 million. I also served as chief assistant state attorney under Robert Egan. I've established specialty courts to divert people out of the criminal process for veterans, the mentally ill, and people suffering from substance abuse. I have always stood up for victims, and I have a proven record of protecting this community from violent crime. I've been endorsed by Mayor Dimmons and a host of other individuals.
All right, Judge Perry, thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate your service to our community. And with that, Mr. Williams, please join us for a 1 minute introduction.
Thank you, Jay. My name is Ryan Williams, and with the exception of 3 years at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill Law School, I'm a lifetime resident of Central Florida. I actually live in Winter Garden with my family, my wife of 17 years, and 2 kids, Lincoln and Kennedy. And I'm a career prosecutor here in Orange County. I've spent most of my adult life prosecuting cases and working for victims here in the Ninth Circuit. The next trial of my career will be the 168th. And for the last 3 years, I've spent working on the cases that were removed by executive order of the governor, names like Bess Minokifer, Sanel St. Simon, Everett Miller, and Markeith Lloyd. I've prosecuted police officers and those who have murdered them. And I believe we're at a unique and important time in our nation and in this community. And that time is one where a majority recognize that our criminal justice system has biases that have to be addressed. But with every passing day, we realize the rule of law is under attack. And that means the next state attorney has to champion reform while also implementing policies and fairly enforcing the law. So
Ryan, thank you so much. Ryan, you can give us a nod. So I'm assuming you think the sky is Carolina blue. Is that correct? That's what I thought. Okay, with that, Mr. Williams, you get to go first in this question. So this is our first round question. 1 minute, 1 minute. And with that, Mr. Williams, what is the first thing you will do when you take office? 1 minute. We are still muted. Can we unmute Mr. Williams and then start the clock again, please?
all right, I think we need to start mending relationships with 2 key groups, the community and law enforcement. Over the last 4 years, law enforcement and the relationship with the state attorney's office has been fraying to the point of breaking. It got so bad that in Osceola County, the sheriff and the state attorney, the current state attorney, were having competing press conferences while victims and families were caught in the middle. We also need to make sure that we're establishing and reestablishing relationships with the community. There are members of the community who live in places that are not safe, and people want to be safe in their homes. And that starts by making sure that they recognize what it is that we do and how we do it, and so that they can trust us and we have credibility with them. So while there are many, many things that we need to do within the first, to use a presidential phrase, 100 days, I think that's the first thing I'll get started on.
Thank you very much for that answer. And Judge Perry, your answer to that.
Like Mr. Williams, I think it is very important that we mend the bridge between the state attorney's office, law enforcement, and the community. The second thing I would do is launch my Safe Community Initiative, a joint task force with law enforcement to focus in on violent crime in our community. I will also work to deal with human trafficking, tourist-related crimes, cybercrime, and juvenile justice issues.
Well, thank you very much for that answer. Let's go to the second question. Judge Perry, you got this. Who will make the decision on seeking the death penalty in death penalty cases in your office if you're elected?
The ultimate decision about that very important and grave decision will rest with me, the state attorney. I will consult with the homicide prosecutor that is assigned the case. I will also consult with the homicide division chief and other members of the homicide division to get their input, and I will evaluate that like I've evaluated hundreds of cases before involving the death penalty, and I will make that decision after consulting with the people that are entrusted to prosecute those cases. I will also prosecute some of those cases myself.
Thank you for that answer, Judge Perry. And Mr. Williams, the question to you, who will make the decision on seeking death penalty in a death penalty case in your office if you're elected?
Well, let me start by pointing out that the current state attorney formed a death panel review, a review panel, which in my view was largely her attempt to stay in office because she could no longer make those decisions. I agree with Judge Perry that the state attorney, who's the only elected official in the office, has to be ultimately responsible. If everyone is responsible, no one is responsible, so goes the saying. Judge Perry can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think upon rejoining the state attorney's office, I would be the most experienced capital prosecutor, having tried 7 cases or resentencings myself and being responsible for another 10. I agree with his approach that the attorney originally assigned to the case would be initially responsible for bringing the aggravating factors and mitigating circumstances to me. I would consult with the other experienced members of the unit, but ultimately I would make that decision in what I believe is the best interests of the community and under the law.
Thank you for that answer. And so now to you, Mr. Williams, a little bit of a softball question, but I'm going to ask you to maybe give an example. Do you believe prosecuting experience is important in this role? And how do you think? And tell us, how will that inform your work and service?
I do believe it's important, and it's not as much of a softball or obvious question as it used to be. Okay. I'll put it that way. It's important because if you're going to lead, to me, you need to lead by example. And I think it's very difficult to lead an office full of 160 prosecutors with them looking at you and saying to themselves, that person has never done my job. That person doesn't understand the daily tasks that I have to do, the challenges with that task. And I think it also gives you, or would give me, a sense of exactly what it is we need to do to make the office better. And ultimately, as the state attorney, for me to make the job of the prosecutors working for me easier. I believe that is my task as a manager. So I find it personally very difficult to believe that one could have success as the state attorney without having previously ever prosecuted a case. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I think it would be very difficult.
Thank you for that answer. Judge Perry, so how will being a prosecutor inform your work, and is it important?
I spent 12 years as a prosecutor, starting in the misdemeanor division, working my way up to being chief assistant. And during that time period, I tried all of the infamous cases in Orange County, including several death penalty cases. It is very important that the prosecutor not only has that particular experience, because as Mr. Williams said, and I totally agree with Mr. Williams, you have to lead by example. As a judge, I have presided over hundreds of cases, and I've had an opportunity to evaluate and grade the papers of those assistant state attorneys. So between being a prosecutor and being a judge, I take those experiences that will put me in good stead to manage that office.
Thank you for that answer, Judge Perry. So the fourth question goes to you first, Judge. If elected, how will you proceed with pre-court diversion? What would that look like?
I think our pretrial diversion program needs to be expanded. I think we have a lot of nonviolent felonies that we can divert. I think I would have a second level of diversion. Oftentimes people will make mistakes a second time, and the question is whether or not they should automatically be disqualified from participating in the diversion. I think on that level 2, it would be based upon a case-by-case basis. But diversion is a necessary thing that we need to have, and we can save a lot of people from having the stamp of a criminal record, but still keep this community safe.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams, to you, if elected, how would you proceed with pre-court diversion?
By making it more available, as Judge Perry referenced. For people that don't know, diversion is a program where if you're entered into it, you essentially serve a term of probation, which you complete certain conditions. And if you do so, your case is dropped. It's like it never occurred. And usually you're going to be eligible for an expunction. So from your record completely. It is a second chance for people who don't deserve to be in the criminal justice process. While I take violent crime very seriously, I think we need to use our resources on violent crime and not on lower level offenders. The current state attorney's program for pretrial diversion excludes anyone who's been through the program previously and excludes a lot of third-degree felonies that I think we need to include and make available to the program. So by opening up the number and type of people and their histories who are eligible and the types of crimes that are eligible, I think we could do a lot of good here in our community.
Thank you. And so this next question builds on this previous question. Mr. Williams, what are your thoughts on petty theft prosecutions?
I think petty theft is the type of minor crime that we need to be very careful about putting on people's criminal histories. But there's a caveat to that, as there is almost anything under the law. You know, when a person steals once or twice, I think we need to deal with it for what it is. It's a minor crime, and we don't need to make a mountain out of a molehill. But I have personally seen situations where people have 5, 6, 7, 20, 30 petty thefts, and at some point, there has to be a punishment for that to stop the behavior. So I'm also cognizant of the fact that small business owners, for them, a petty theft can be a big deal, particularly if it's a recidivist issue. So the character of the person and the history behind the crime is always going to be important. We don't need to be throwing young mothers in jail who steal diapers for their kids. I think everybody recognizes that. But I also don't think that we can allow it to go unchecked.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, for that answer. To you, Judge Perry, what are your thoughts on petty theft prosecutions?
Well, petty theft prosecutions are violations of the law, and they need to be dealt with in a similar fashion like Mr. Williams said. I agree that you have to look at them on a case-by-case basis. There are some instances of petty theft that can be diverted, and they are successful. But there are certain cases where you have organized theft rings that start off with petty thefts that you must prosecute. Perfect example is in the city of Chicago, where they raised the threshold and wouldn't prosecute any thefts unless they got to $1,000. Consequently, you see people in Chicago now going in, grabbing clothes out of stores and running out of the front door because they know they will not face prosecution. So you have to take those on a case-by-case basis, but most of them can be handled with diversion.
Thank you for that answer. And this will be our final question, and then we will do closing comments in this state attorney's debate. So, Judge Perry, what is your thought on reducing the number of juveniles prosecuted in adult court, otherwise known as direct file?
You know, that's a good question.
Well, good, because I didn't come up with it, so I'm glad. So, and don't let that stop the time. Start the clock now.
Okay. You try not to file on juveniles as an adult, but there are certain crimes you must, particularly violent crimes, murders, armed robberies, carjacking. Just because a juvenile is filed on as an adult does not necessarily mean that they are treated with adult sanctions. So the judge has an opportunity at the time of sentencing to impose juvenile sanctions, youthful offender sanctions, or the full Monty as an adult. But you must jealously guard, and I will require on every direct file that it will require my signature upon the recommendation of my juvenile division.
Thank you for that answer. Mr. Williams, your answer to what is your thought on reducing the number of juveniles prosecuted in adult court, otherwise known as direct file?
We need to reduce the number of direct files. The school to prison pipeline, like a lot of criminal justice reform issues, is a very real thing that I believe and take very seriously. An arrest for a juvenile being sent to jail, particularly adult jail, can be, I would think, and is a traumatic experience. But as Judge Perry pointed out, and I would give you an example from right here in West Orange County, there was a 13-year-old who shot and killed an adult and had premeditated intent to do it. And a 21-day sentence in juvenile and juvenile sanctions in a program are not going to be sufficient for that individual. So it is a tool, direct file is a tool that the state attorney has to use. I believe it has to be reserved for the most serious instances. And I also agree that as state attorney, I would make sure that I personally approve any direct files of juveniles into adult court.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, for that. Thank you both for your answers. We'll move on to now closing remarks. Since Judge Perry went first, we will go with the closing remarks now first with Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, 1 minute closing.
Thank you, Jay. You know, as I mentioned earlier in my opening remarks, it's a unique time to be a prosecutor. I've done this my entire career, and for the last 5 years dealt with the worst of the worst in our community. But I think we all as a society need to recognize that our system needs reform. I think the question in my mind is, which of the candidates has the credibility with violent crime, with law enforcement, to be able to go to people of different parties and different persuasions who may not believe in criminal justice reform and have that conversation and bring them to the table so that we can start to address racial and systemic issues while also protecting the community. Because it is my view that the primary role of the state attorney is the lead law enforcement officer who must protect the community first. My kids need to be safe like everyone else. So I think I provide the best opportunity, given my background, to do that. And I would ask for your vote on August 18th or before. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Judge Perry, your 1 minute to close, please.
I have a proven record as a bridge builder in this community of bringing diverse individuals together and coming up with a solution. In the mental health area, we were all very fragmented and scattered, but I brought everybody together. I have the confidence of law enforcement. I have the confidence of this community. I'm a proven administrator, and I've done this. I have done reform throughout my career as a judge, from bringing in veterans courts, juvenile diversion programs, and things of that nature. My experience as a manager, as a prosecutor, and someone that has managed multi-million-dollar budgets makes me the best candidate for this position. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Perry and Mr. Williams. I know I speak for the West Orange Chamber Board and our community when I say thank you to both of you, one, for your service to our community, but also for coming forward and putting your name on the ballot. You make our community stronger and you make our democracy better. Thank you both, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. With that, I believe we are going to move to a little bit of commercial break with Krista. So Krista, the floor is yours while I go and refill my drink. Can
All
I
right.
just say one thing, Krista, to this?
Yes.
I'm getting chamber board members texting, asking if I'm wearing pants. So let me just state for the record, I'm wearing golf shorts with this outfit, okay? Can I just say that? I had never gotten text asking if I'm wearing pants until COVID. I'm just saying.
The things that we've learned through COVID-19. Well, thank you very much, Jay. And thank you so much, Mr. Perry and Mr. Williams, for your time today and your willingness to serve our community. So I have the honor of highlighting some of our sponsors this evening. And so I would like to start with the West Orange Political Alliance, our premier sponsor for this event. The West Orange Political Alliance, also known as WOPA, is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization for West Orange County. WOPA focuses on business issues and seeking out and endorsing candidates in county, school board, constitutional, judges, and state offices that will further the business interests of West Orange County. The West Orange Political Alliance is recognized and approved by the Florida Division of Elections as a political committee since 1997. And WOPA is governed by a board which represents businesses within our local area. It has a strong track record of selecting winners and the right candidates. And to see this year's endorsements, visit the West Orange Political Alliance Facebook page. So thank you to the West Orange Political Alliance. Now, our second sponsor this evening that I get to highlight is Walt Disney World, and they are a participating sponsor. And it is my pleasure to say that tonight, the Walt Disney World Resort, a West Orange business that has shown resilience for nearly half a century, is very much open for business. Disney began their phased reopening in May and is currently welcoming guests at Disney Springs, select resorts, and all 4 theme parks with the health and well-being of guests and cast members as a top priority. Disney began, their phased reopening has included limited attendance to support physical distancing at all locations, a new reservation system for theme park visits, enhanced cleaning and sanitation, required face masks, temperature checks at all 4 theme parks, Disney Springs, and Disney hotel restaurants, and so much more. These measures have earned positive feedback from many quarters, and West Orange has proven that it is possible to do business even in today's climate. And of course, all eyes of the world are currently on West Orange as both Major League Soccer and the NBA play out their regular seasons right here in our backyard at the ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex, and they're living in the bubble at Disney World. I would like to live in the bubble at Disney World. How do you get into that, Jay?
You know, we've got some West Orange Chamber board members that are from Disney. I am sure that they will help you in that. And the only thing that they'll need from you is your Visa card number.
Yes, very much so. All right, well, that's what I'm going to do right now for our sponsors. So I'm going to turn it right back over to you now, Jay.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. And I know we still have a number of people across this community on Zoom and Facebook watching, and we appreciate you doing that, and continue to comment on our social media channels and let your friends know that they can watch tonight. So thank you. Please continue to vote. Make sure you vote tonight. And I know it's important to all the candidates. They want to get a sense. You know, tomorrow, if they win the West Orange Chamber straw poll tonight, tomorrow they'll talk about the strength of their campaign in West Orange County. So please make sure that you do that. We are about to start something kind of new. We're going to be doing a kind of a candidate walkthrough and talk about, we're gonna have a number of candidates come before us. And so we'll be discussing that right now. I want you to know that we're going to give certain candidates a chance to come before us and make 1-minute speeches. But in order to make sure that we do that right, we're going to have Stina show us how we do that. Stina, can you turn your camera on and let's do a practice. Are you ready to practice, Stina?
I am ready.
Okay, so
Not
Stina.
just practice. This is for real life, Jay.
You're recognized for 1 minute. We will time you like we're timing everyone else. And then when your time stops, you will see. And I want every member of the West Orange Chamber Board to watch this because I'm about to get to do something that you wish you could have always done. So with that, candidate Stina for
I'm ready.
control of the world, please.
Okay. I am Agostina Maria Teresa Paglialunga Duva. I am running for the President of the United States, and my vice presidential pick is Dr. Anthony Fauci. Together, we will restore.
So if y'all will notice that we muted Stina at the appropriate time. And so I just want you to know that a couple things. We will have to mute you if we do, but I have just done something that I have always wanted to do. I have been able to mute Stina. So, you know, times are tough at the West Orange Chamber. So to all the West Orange Chamber board members, I am going to give you an opportunity at the next board meeting. You too can mute Stina for a $1,000 contribution to the chamber. So I just will take you up, hope that you will take us up on that opportunity. I enjoyed that. So, and I am seeing Betsy Vanderlei smile, and I think Betsy would love the opportunity to do exactly what I just did. So with that, we're going to start our candidate parade. I've got the list. We have all of our candidates with us. We appreciate that you're joining us. And so let's start with County Commissioner Betsy Vanderlei. Betsy, we're glad that you're joining us.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. And I will have to say that of all the hobnobs I've attended, this is the best air conditioning I've ever experienced. And I'm pretty excited about that right there. So.
We are glad to help you. Duke Energy provided the air conditioning for tonight.
They did. And I'm
so start your time now, Carrie.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you so much to the West Orange Chamber and in particular to WOPA for their endorsement, not the chamber, but WOPA, of course, endorsing my candidacy. That means an awful lot to me. I've been very engaged with this chamber and this community for a very long time. So those are very big compliments when your peers recognize the hard work that you've done and support you as a result of that. I also am happy to enjoy the endorsement of all of the mayors of District 1, including Mayor Dyer, and many of the elected officials in the region. We've worked across municipalities to make sure that we're addressing the needs of the constituents in this area. I also am happy to announce that I'm endorsed by the firefighters, by the AFL-CIO, by the apartment complexes of Central Florida, and GOBA. And I see a 15-minute, and I'm going to try really hard not to keep talking and then have to mute me. Mostly, I just want to say thank you for giving me an opportunity to serve you this past almost 4 years, and I'm looking forward to finishing what I started in the next 4 years, and I'd appreciate your support and your vote. And with that, I'll be quiet.
Well, thank you so much, Commissioner, and we appreciate your service to our community. And our next is Sheriff Mina. And Sheriff, I'm sorry, I'm going to be tough on you, but we've got to hold to our time. It's the only time in my life I get to be tough with the sheriff. So with that, Sheriff John Mina.
Thank you, Jay. I'm John Mina. I'm your current sheriff from Orange County. I'm proud to be endorsed by the West Orange Political Alliance. I'm actually a 30-year resident of West Orange County. This is the community I chose to raise my 2 sons, and I care deeply about the safety of this community. I spent 3 years in the United States Army, served my country, spent 28 years with the Orlando Police Department. Of course, I rose to the rank of police chief, where I spent 4 years there. Of course, reduce crime, reduce officer use of force, reduce officer involved shootings, and reduce complaints on our officers by citizens. And I helped lead our community through tragedy, from the Pulse tragedy to COVID, to some social unrest. In November 2018, I was elected to be your 29th sheriff here in Orange County. I was able to put more staffing, more deputies out on the street, and deputies in our schools. I'm the only candidate who's been the chief executive of the largest 2 law enforcement agencies in Central Florida. And please go to my website, sheriffjohnmina.com, to see a list of all of my endorsements. Thanks for your support.
Thank you, Sheriff. We appreciate that. We didn't have to mute you. I'm so glad, because I don't know how well that would have gone. That might have been worse than muting Stina. So, by the way, I've got numerous texts, Stina, letting me know how much they enjoyed seeing that. So, in fact, one person said that I'm a brave man, and that might be a previous board chair. So, I don't know. We now have Amy Mercado with us, state representative and now running for Orange County property appraiser. Amy, welcome.
Thank you, Jay. I don't think I've laughed this hard in a bit. Thank you, West Orange Chamber of Commerce, for hosting this event and the West Orange Political Alliance for endorsing my candidacy. I'm State Representative Amy Mercado, and as you know, I currently represent House District 48. I'm a wife, a mom of 6 adult children, a caretaker to my ailing grandmother, and a businesswoman. I'm running for Orange County Property Appraiser because the community has lost faith, trust, and respect for the institution that is the Orange County Property Appraiser's Office. I will bring competence and integrity back to the office with the experience I have gained as a businesswoman and as a state legislator. And I will turn around the Orange County Property Appraiser's Office because I have a blended, multifaceted, multinational business background, which spans across healthcare, legal, and agricultural industries for several decades. I have years of experience in enabling organization innovation, and most importantly, I build consensus. So I'm ready on day one to take on the Orange County Property Appraiser's Office. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Amy. We appreciate you joining us tonight in West Orange County. And with that, we have a longtime community leader, Khalid Munir, who is also a candidate for Orange County Property Appraiser. Khalid, thank you. We're glad you're joining us.
Thank you, Jay. Pleasure to see you. I'm Khalid Munir. I'm running for the position of Orange County Property Appraiser also. And I have served the people of Orange County for decades in various roles as a business leader and a community leader. And I bring 40 years of experience in real estate, evaluations, and investment banking in order to make sure that the properties that you own, businesses that you own, are appraised in an accurate and in an objective manner, so you don't overpay on your property taxes. I'm not a politician, but a businessman, so I know what it takes to run an office like that, from a budget point of view, from managing people, etc. And I have a track record to go with it. Thank you, and I look forward to your support and vote.
Well, to all four of us, or all four of you, from all of us, the West Orange Chamber, we know in this moment it's tough to campaign and put yourself forward and serve in office. And so thank you for all you're doing in service to Orange County and the people of Central Florida. And with that, Krista, are we going to move on now to the District 44 debate? Is that still our schedule? Just want to make sure we don't have any commercial breaks. So
Actually, Jay,
yes,
I do want to do a commercial break if you don't mind.
you know, Stina's always in charge, so whatever you want to do.
Well, right now it's just you and I, Jay, so we're in charge, really. So.
Wow, I can't handle the power.
All right, so right now I'd like to highlight 2 more sponsors. And the first is Charter Communications, which is our event sponsor this evening. And Charter Communications Spectrum is proud to support this event and is committed to delivering high quality connectivity and increasing access for more people in more places, and to supporting the communities we serve, especially in these unprecedented times of need. Now is the time to reevaluate your business, services, and cut costs. That's why Spectrum and Charter is supporting small businesses with 1 free month plus free installation on your internet, phone, and TV services. Also, as one of FEMA's community lifeline sectors, Spectrum employees are providing the critical services that allow for uninterrupted internet, telephone, and TV news for more than 29 million customers, including lifeline institutions like hospitals, first responders, and government facilities. We are grateful for our employees around the clock work supporting and maintaining our customers' residential and business connectivity needs during this health and economic crisis. Spectrum is committed to improving communities and impacting lives where our customers and employees live and work. Please visit business.spectrum.com. And then I also get to highlight another sponsor, which is the University of Central Florida. They also are an event sponsor this evening. And UCF is an academic, partnership, and research leader in numerous fields, such as optics and lasers, modeling and simulation, engineering and computer science, business, public administration, education, hospitality management, healthcare, and video game design. We confer almost 17,000 degrees a year and lead all universities in Florida in this regard. At UCF, we offer an array of academic options for just about every interest. With 13 colleges, including a College of Medicine, UCF offers more than 220 degree programs from the main campus downtown campus, hospitality campus, health sciences campus, online, and multiple regional locations. UCF's fully online programs include online bachelor's degree, online master's degree, online PhDs, online certificates, and so much more, which have been particularly critical in today's learning environment. So please visit www.ucf.edu. You'll quickly discover all there is to experience and get inspired by what we have to offer. And as we always say here, go Knights. All right. Thank you, Stina, for fixing my lighting for me too. All right, Jay, I'm sending it back to you now.
All right, thank you. We are thrilled two just great partners in our community, and thank you for their sponsorship for tonight. So tonight we move on to the District 44 debate. We're bringing the folks in that are about to have that debate. We appreciate their putting their name on the ballot and their service to our community. So just let me review let me get everybody's videos on. Representative Thompson, we have Bruno, we have Frank. So just waiting on Representative Thompson's video. And as we're waiting on that, I'll just continue to review the debate platform. You'll get a minute to open. Everybody, you'll be timed. We'll try not to mute you. And then we'll move on to questions, and we'll be rotating those questions among the three of you, 1 minute, and then we will have closing remarks. Is that a good deal? Everybody good? So let's just do a quick sound check before we kind of do the formal thing. So Representative Thompson, can you hear us, and can you make sure you're unmuted? Can you unmute? Or can we make sure? There we go. Representative Thompson, let's do a sound check. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Okay, I am good. And Bruno, do me a favor. Make sure I don't mess up your last name. Tell me how to pronounce your last name.
Hello, Jay. Portigliati.
Portigliati. Thank you, sir.
You got it. Thank you.
Let's do a sound check with you, Frank. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you?
I'm doing great. So we are thrilled that you've joined us tonight. And I bet you never thought you would do a debate like this. If I had asked you in March, told you what we were going to be doing in August and in July, you probably thought I was crazy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us. So we're going to go in this order. This order was given to me by the Florida Chamber staff. They flipped a coin at the office, and so that's how this was arrived at. And so with that, I'm going to ask Bruno if you would please open with a 1 minute worth of remarks.
Sure. Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much for the, everyone involved for putting this together. My name is Bruno Portigliati. Again, I'm running for the Florida House of Representatives in District 44. I have lived in District 44 since 1999. I attended Southwest Middle School. I attended Dr. Phillips High School. I went on to USF, studied political science and Spanish, went on to law school, and I also got an MBA. I've always made it a point to be very involved in my community, whether it's through my church, nonprofit organizations, boards that I sit on, whether it's the Dr. Phillips YMCA, Rotary Club of Dr. Phillips. So I'm always looking for opportunities to serve, to give back to my community, to live beyond myself, and to contribute to society. So that's why I decided to run for this position. I have a passion for service. I have a passion for people. And I'm looking to provide effective representation for District 44, especially in these difficult times that we're living in.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And so with that, the next to go would be Representative Thompson. Geraldine, good to see you. If you'll have your 1 minute of opening remarks.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the invitation. I am running for re-election to House District 44. I've been endorsed by the West Orange Political Alliance in this bid for re-election. I want to go back to Tallahassee to fix Florida's broken unemployment assistance program, which I voted against in 2011. I want to diversify the economy. We are witnessing the effects of being so tourist dependent. I want to make sure that we are a welcoming place for everyone. And so I would look at police reform, and of the candidates that you're considering tonight, I am the one who has cross-cultural competency. I am as comfortable in Paramore as I am in Windermere, and I can bridge divisions and bring people together. And so I thank you for the invitation and look forward to serving this district in Tallahassee.
Thank you so much, Geraldine. And with that, Frank, welcome. And we ask that you do your 1 minute of opening remarks.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me and inviting all the candidates to come speak to us so that we have an informed electorate. My name is Frank Blanco. I'm running for this seat because I want to make an impact in Tallahassee by allowing our local citizenry to have effective representation that will fight for their rights, to protect their constitution, to allow them to be well represented and make sure that there's not a government in Tallahassee that seeks to infringe upon them. Especially one of my other passions is making sure that education is well funded. As a father of 3 small children who live in this district with me, I want to make sure that our schools are effective, that are well funded, and make sure that we have all the resources necessary to produce competitive citizens to make sure that they compete on the global and international scale. And I thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to the rest of the debate.
Thank you so much, Frank. We appreciate this. And so since Bruno went first there, we will go to Geraldine for the first question. Again, you'll have 1 minute, and then each of you will have 1 minute following as well. So with that, in light of what has happened to tourism with the pandemic, do you support the continued funding of Visit Florida? And if so, at what levels and periods of time? So talk to us about kind of your Tallahassee tourism vision. Geraldine, you were first.
Thank you. I've been a long-term supporter of Visit Florida, and I think to lead us into recovery after COVID, Visit Florida has to be well funded. And we have seen a lot of questions about accountability. I think a lot of those have been answered. And I'd like to see us fund Visit Florida over time for rather than just 2 years, we're talking about 4 years so that they can really plan. We have seen Visit Florida go down from over $100 million in terms of funding to where we are now. And I would like to see us move back so that we're competitive with other states. We have to compete with New York, with Vegas, with so many other states. And we need a very well-funded marketing arm in order to be able to do that. So I would absolutely look to work with Visit Florida to market Florida as a place that's safe, that's following CDC guidelines, and people will feel comfortable coming back as our visitors.
Thank you, Geraldine, for that. Frank, what would be your response to Visit Florida? And in light of the pandemic, do you support funding of Visit Florida, and at what levels, and how do you see that in your service in Tallahassee?
I agree with Representative Thompson that Visit Florida is a very important arm of our tourism industry, and the ability to attract tourists to our area does depend on that. But I think that we need to also increase consumer confidences in our public, in our attractions, our parks here in the district. Make sure that they are also campaigning to making sure that anybody who is seeking to travel to Florida for the purposes of their vacation understand that we're taking affirmative steps to make sure that we're handling the pandemic and making sure that we have this thing under control. And I think that the parks, in conjunction with Visit Florida, can do a wonderful thing together to make sure that we have increased confidence from anybody who seeks to visit Florida. So I don't think it's necessarily just the government that needs to fully fund Visit Florida, although I do agree with the representative, but I think we need to also partner with our private industries to make sure that both are working in conjunction to make sure that that message is unified and collaborative.
Thank you, Frank, for that answer. Bruno, your response to Visit Florida and tourism in Tallahassee.
Sure. If elected, I will continue to ensure that Visit Florida gets its full funding. I am honored to be endorsed by the Central Florida Hotel and Lodging Association. And, you know, our tourism dollars are what allowed Florida to develop into a $1 trillion economy. So I think we need to do whatever we can to continue to promote tourism. There are, you know, tens of thousands of people in the hospitality industry without jobs right now. And they're hurting, you know, their families are hurting. This is a very challenging environment that we're living in. And we need to protect, you know, this sector of our economy, this industry. We need to give them the resources that they need. And I think Visit Florida is a very important one that we should continue to fund. We should continue to give them the resources. And I'm fully supportive of it.
Thank you, Bruno, for that. And so we'll start with Frank at this next question. We're going to stay with the tourism theme. Do you support the expansion of TDT funds to be used for other things than the original purpose, which was to promote tourism? What are your thoughts as it relates to Tallahassee and TDT use?
I think the legislative intent was clear that the use for those for the TDT funds for tourism is important, but I think flexibility is always a good thing in government, especially during these trying times, to make sure that we have the ability to kind of adjust on the fly to make sure that if we need to fund the program or use the program dollars for other than their intended purpose, I have no problem with that. I think that these times call for creative measures like that and that is suggested, and so I wouldn't have any issue with the funds going beyond their intended purposes, just to make sure that the economy and that particular industry is in recovery. Because as you know, District 44 relies heavily on those jobs in that industry to make sure that we can thrive. So no problem there.
Thank you, Frank, for that response. Bruno, your thoughts about TDT and Tallahassee, and there have been some debates the last several years about TDT use. So what are your thoughts?
I am in favor for maintaining TDT dollars for their intended purposes. I think that, again, we have to promote the tourism industry. We have to give them all the resources that they need to thrive, to get people back to work, to continue to bring people to Florida. We have over 70 million visitors that were coming to Florida before COVID-19. So now we have to do even more to ensure that we continue to attract so many people and that we maintain people employed. So I think TDT should be used for their intended purposes. If for any reason we do not use them, we have to look at other alternatives for those funds. Then I think we have to get all the stakeholders involved in the conversation so that we can discuss what is the best use of those dollars, and to see if the industry would be okay, and how they would be okay with those dollars being used as well. Because I think sweeping those funds would not help us in any way.
Thank you for that answer. Geraldine, I know you're very familiar with this topic. What are your thoughts? You've dealt with this the last couple of years. So what are your thoughts as it stands right now in the COVID world?
Well, we've seen that Florida has a very thriving arts and culture community because a certain amount of TDT funds have been dedicated to enhancing art and culture. And so I'd like to see some flexibility, very limited. When I was in the Florida Senate, I voted to have TDT funds used in the Panhandle, exclusively in the Panhandle, for infrastructure, roads, police, beach enhancement, etc., and not just for the promotion of our attractions, etc. And so I'd like to see limited expansions based on where we are today, but at the same time, certainly not abandoning what the funds were used for, and that is to promote tourism, because that's very much like the question related to Visit Florida. We have to be competitive with other areas.
Thank you for that answer. So I think in my order, we'll go to you, Representative Thompson, to go first on this. So during this year's session, many bills were introduced that limited local government's ability to govern and pass local laws. Home rule, as it's become to be called. So curious what all three of your thoughts are. Representative Thompson, you please go first on your thoughts related to home rule.
I've received awards from the Florida League of Cities for my position on home rule. I believe you need local solutions for local problems. I believe that the people who are closest to the citizenry on a day-to-day basis ought to be free to make decisions regarding to what should happen in their region. There's no one size fits all. So I do not believe in preemption and having Tallahassee 200 miles away make decisions that should be left for local leaders. So I am a champion of home rule. I have been since I have served in the House before and while I was in the Florida Senate. Thank
you for that. So Bruno, I know you've been on the campaign trail, and wonder if this question's come up. Well, what are your thoughts on home rule, and where do you stand?
It has. In fact, I have met with all of the mayors or spoken to all of the mayors within District 44. And I have expressed
So
to them.
Bruno, let me just stop you right there. I'm not going to take your time. You mean a mayor talked to you about home rule? That's good to know. So no, go ahead.
In fact, one of my mentors, he is very involved with the Florida League of Cities, Commissioner Tony Ortiz. But I have spoken to all of the mayors. I have met with them personally, with most of them, if not all of them, and I have expressed my commitment to preserving home rule. I understand the importance of it. I also believe that certain municipalities, they ought to be treated differently, and we can apply the same measure for every single county, the 67 counties that we have in the state of Florida. At the same time, I also understand that there's some level of uniformity that is required for certain things. Standardization at times is also helpful in the business industry, so that we can ensure that our business community has everything they need to thrive, and that the regulations are not changing. They're not different in every single municipality that businesses are trying to open up.
Thank you for that answer. Appreciate that. So Frank, what are your thoughts on this issue of home rule as it relates to Tallahassee versus local government?
Well, I think I agree wholeheartedly with the other two candidates in the race that home rule is very important. I think that no county should be really forced to be adopting mandates that are given down by Tallahassee, especially unfunded ones. I know that in my time in the legislature as a legislative aide, when Geraldine Thompson or Representative Thompson was the senator, I worked for Senator Ulrich, and he was very strong on making sure that the counties, because he represented 8 of them, that they were well represented in Tallahassee and protected their interests in Tallahassee, including making sure that unfunded mandates weren't passed. So as a conservative person, I do believe that it's my obligation to make sure that Tallahassee doesn't try to impose its will on local counties in a way that may affect either their autonomy or their budgets. So
thank you for that answer. And just for the folks that are listening tonight, we have this ongoing discussion that America is divided, Republican, Democrat divided. And I just think it's important to, while the 3 of you may disagree on some things, I think it's just refreshing that you all agree tonight on supporting West Orange County in different ways. And, so for all of the marks on politics that everybody just disagrees, I think it's refreshing how you're agreeing on things. So with that, let's just close with a question, one final question, and then we'll go to closing remarks. And that is, what's the one thing you want to do? You get elected, you get sworn in, and the Speaker of the House said, you can do one thing this year. What's the one thing you would want to do? And so Frank, we'll start with you.
Well, I think that as a conservative person who believes wholeheartedly in the rights of man and gun rights and rights of privacy and whatnot, I think that as much as it may strike people as a little rough, I think that when the legislature last year passed the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas bill to effectively create red flag laws, I think that did a lot to infringe on the Second Amendment for people who are lawful gun owners. And I do believe that people who are not going to necessarily be lawful gun owners aren't going to listen to whether the legislature passes a law to prevent future gun violence. I think gun violence will always be perpetuated, but there's ways that we can take steps to affirmatively curb it. I think that we can do more to remove the stigma on mental illness. But I think to answer your original question, if I were to be given a blank check or a blank slate by the Speaker of the House, if I were to be elected, I would say that my first bill would be to file a repealer bill on the red flag law bill.
Thank you. And just a little secret, Frank, you will be given a blank slate your first year as Speaker. Just want to make sure we understood that, which Representative Thompson knows that far too well. So Representative Thompson, your answer to that question.
One of the things that I would want to do is to look at police reform. We have seen protests and civil unrest all over the country. And one of the things that's needed here in Florida is a database that would help us capture information regarding counties, police departments, and individuals that have been involved in instances of excessive force. The police officer who knelt on George Floyd's neck for almost 9 minutes has a second home in Windermere here in my district. He had 15 complaints of excessive force. If we had a database, we would have been able in Florida to know that there was a hot spot, that there was a problem, this would have raised a red flag that would have required training, that would have required maybe suspension, termination, decertification. So looking at police reform and instituting a database would be the one thing I would want to start with.
Thank you, Geraldine, for that answer. So Bruno, you're driving to Tallahassee for the very first time as a state representative, and you want to get one thing done. What is it?
Well, my number one objective right now is making sure, that our families, they're back on their feet, that they have, that they're employed, that they have whatever they need, the resources they need to be able to continue. So I think we're living in very uncertain times, challenging times, especially during COVID and post-COVID. So I think we need to do whatever we can to make sure that businesses can open in a safe way, that we're not doing anything that will stifle growth, that will stifle businesses being businesses. So we have to give them the resources that they need to be able to thrive. And I think those resources are ensuring that we remove any unnecessary and burdensome regulations, that we maintain a low tax climate in the state of Florida, which has been great, but we have to maintain it low. We have to focus on the jobs of the future. We cannot keep training, students for the jobs that are no longer going to be existent in the next few years. So we have a lot of people moving into Florida, a lot of technology, a lot of sweeping changes happening, and we have to pay particular attention to the jobs of the future.
Thank you for that answer, and thank you all for abiding by our 1 minute rule. It's never good to have to mute candidates like you. It's not, so thank you. So with that, let's go to closing remarks, and we will start with Frank. Frank, please tell us.
Sure.
Closing remark, 1 minute.
Well, thank you again for the Chamber for hosting this event. It's been very informative. I appreciate the opportunity to speak directly to your membership and to anyone who's watching on Facebook. I want to encourage people to make an informed choice and understand that there's more to the government than just necessarily creating jobs or protecting our infrastructure. I believe that there are rights and liberties that are also at stake here in this election. I believe that House District 44 deserves someone who will hold the government accountable, who will be able to produce and also be an active and influential legislator. I'm hoping to be that legislator, and I'm hoping to be the defender of rights. So please check out my website. It's blancoforhouse.com. And again, I encourage everybody to go out and vote. And I hope to earn your support on or before the August 18th primary. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Frank. Bruno, please go next. Tell us 1 minute closing. What would be your closing argument to the people of West Orange County?
Thank you, Jay. Well, again, I think that, we are certainly living in very challenging times. And I think now more than ever, we need someone with a business mind, someone with common sense to represent District 44 in Tallahassee, someone who's really going to provide effective representation and be connected to the voters, to the constituents. We need someone who's going to be a nexus of information between the district and Tallahassee back to the district. And we desperately need that now more than ever. It pains me to see our community suffering. It pains me to see so many folks in the hospitality industry without jobs. So we need to do whatever we can to make sure that we are a part of the conversation. District 44 is a part of the conversation, and that we're bringing back those jobs, that we're giving people the resources they need to survive and to thrive, more importantly. I have a business experience. I'm a businessman. I'm an educator. But above all else, I'm passionate about people and passionate about service. So I invite you to please go to my website and look at all of the endorsements that I have as well. I'm pleased to be endorsed by WOPA, by the West Orange Political Alliance, by the Florida Chamber of Commerce, and the Associated Industries of Florida as well.
Thank you, Bruno. And so on our final closing, Geraldine, I'd love to hear from you. So what's your closing 1 minute?
Thank you very much. I bring a very wide breadth of experience to the position of representative. I am an educator. We're talking about how do we open our schools, how do we open our colleges and universities and keep both students and staff safe. Having been in that environment, I have experience in terms of how that can be done. I am also a stateswoman, having served in the Florida legislature, in the House, the Senate, and now again in the House, and looking at situations that we're talking about, diversifying the economy, attracting manufacturing, attracting high tech to this area. And I'm a business person, having taken a concept When you say Black Lives Matter, it's something I've been doing for 20 years with the Wells-Built Museum of African American History and Culture, taking that concept to an enterprise that attracts people and is part of the hospitality and tourism industry here in Central Florida. So you can't be very narrow, and I have a wide breadth of experience that would allow me to continue to serve, and I ask for your vote on August 18th.
Thank you. Thank you, all three of you, as I have said to the state attorney candidates. And one, thank you on behalf of the West Orange Chamber Board. You make our democracy stronger just by the mere fact of running and putting your name on the ballot. You make us better. So thank you for your service, and look forward to seeing how Election Day turns out.
Thank you all for the opportunity.
Yep.
Have a great evening.
With that, we're going to a commercial break with Krista, correct?
That is correct, Jay.
Oh, the script is working.
I know, it's amazing how that works. All right, so once again, I get to do a commercial, and I am going to highlight our last sponsor for the evening. Last but certainly not least, Observer Media Group is our event sponsor this evening. The Observer Media Group, publisher of the West Orange Times and Observer, Southwest Orange Observer, and OrangeObserver.com, is your #1 source of news and information for West Orange County. With extensive coverage of local government, business, schools, and entertainment, the West Orange Times has served as the area's paper of record for more than a century. Our distribution saturates Winter Garden, Horizon West, Windermere, Ocoee, Oakland, and Gotha, giving our business partners unparalleled penetration into one of Central Florida's fastest growing communities. So thank you to Observer Media Group, and thank you to all of our sponsors this evening. As we said earlier, if it wasn't for you, we would not be here today. So now I get to turn it back over to Jay. Let's see what we got going here.
All right. Well, we are glad we're talking about our sponsors. You know, it takes so much to run a community and run a chamber, and so we very much appreciate our sponsors and them stepping forward and funding this important work, and especially tonight's event. So this is going to be the judicial candidate parade. And so I don't know if y'all saw before, but we did a little stint about how this works. And so we had Stina, who was head of our chamber, come on, and she practiced, and she showed that Carrie is timing, and she's going to give you the 15-second mark and then the 1-minute mark, and then we actually muted Stina. I've never had so much fun in my entire life muting Stina. It's like been a highlight. But, you know, we're not going to like mute you at 1 minute, but like, you know, we get to like 1 minute and 5 seconds. We're going to have to kind of do that. So just honor us in that. You honor us by running for office. You honor us by running for judge. Let me just say, as a little bit of a commercial to the West Orange Chamber. The West Orange Chamber in WOPA was really an early supporter of judge races. I don't know if you have found you're running for judge, but it's been difficult to, it's hard because there's a lot of things you can't say, but you want to go to events and you want to get your name out there. And I will tell you, the West Orange Chamber was one of the early chambers in Florida that said, hey, we want to talk to our judges and we want to promote judges. So kudos to the West Orange Chamber. And
hey, Jay.
Yes.
I just want to interrupt you real fast. I just want to remind everybody, if you haven't voted yet, it's about to end. It will be cut off at 6:35. So all the attendees out there that haven't voted, now is the time to do it. All right, Jay, sorry, I'm going to go back and let you do your thing.
That's fine. So if you haven't voted, please go and vote. Let's not do this. You can't vote twice. You got to vote once. And as I said to you before, trying to be funny, Vladimir Putin is not overseeing tonight's election. That's being handled by the West Orange Chamber. So that being said, we have some awesome judge candidates with us. And so we're going to introduce you for 1 minute. And so we're glad to have you. And so with that, we're going in group one. And I want to make sure, because I've got 2 names here, and we'll make sure we have everybody here, and we do. So Rayana Rogers, Arnold, you are first.
Thank you so much. I'm Rhiannon Arnold. I'm a candidate for Circuit Court Judge Group 1, and I have been an Orange County resident, West Orange County resident for the past 10 years and a former West Orange Chamber member. I've been chosen as the endorsed candidate in Group 1 by the Chamber's own West Orange Political Alliance, the AFL-CIO, the City of Orlando firefighters, Orange and Osceola County firefighters, Orange County teachers, multiple retired judges, former presidents of the Florida and Orange County Bar Associations, and close to over 400 other members of the Central Florida community. People from all walks of life agree that experience matters and that honesty and transparency are a direct reflection on character, and that I have the character for this job. As a wife, mother, successful lawyer, and a business owner, I am ready to serve our community in a more impactful way. Rising above a series of life experiences that could have led me down a path of a much different life than the one that I live, I chose to be victorious rather than a victim. My life experiences will allow me to be a more insightful and fair member of our judiciary. I'm ready to serve all members of our community equally. I look forward to receiving your vote on or before August 18th. And remember, Arnold for Judge in Group 1 when you get out and vote. Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us. We also have Michaela Nix in the same group. Michaela, glad that you joined us tonight.
Thank you guys for having me today. My name is Michaela Nix, and I'm running in Group 1 for your next 9th Circuit Judge. I've been endorsed by many mayors in the West Orange area and by the Orlando Sentinel. I'm excited to be a solo practitioner in the family law arena. I have performed over 60 bench trials. I've done criminal, felony, and misdemeanor trials. And I've been in an impartial role as a mediator. More importantly, I've been in this Orlando community for over 20 years, from being appointed to the Orange County Charter Review Commission to speaking to the motivational speaking to the Orange Orlando Juvenile Justice Detention students. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I'm a business owner. But more importantly, I think that the 9th Circuit needs diversity on the bench. And I'm excited to be the first candidate to be elected in a contested race if I am able and honored to win this 9th Circuit election. I believe that character is important. My family's been here since 1887 and has performed many community service in this area. Your voice is your vote. Vote Michaela Nix, August 18th or earlier, nix2020.com. Thank you guys for your time today.
Thank you, Michaela. We appreciate you joining us. And so now to Group 21, and I want to make sure I pronounce the last name right. Alan, is it Alan Apt? Is that the correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, Jay. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Jay, and thank you, West Orange Chamber. I'm Circuit Judge Alan Apt. I am seeking re-election in Group 21. I am honored to be endorsed by WOPA, our firefighters, and the AFL-CIO. For the past 27 years, I have dedicated my life to the communities of Orange and Osceola counties, both inside and outside of the courtroom. I am a lifelong Floridian. For over 100 years, my family has been part of the fabric of Florida. Blue-collar family roots has taught me that there is no substitute for an education, learning something new every day, hard work, giving back to our community, respect and fairness, one's word is one's bond, and shaking hands to bind a deal. Outside the legal profession, I have dedicated myself to serving our community through various charitable or voluntary organizations. To name a few, Boys and Girls Club, Big Sisters and Give Kids a World. Throughout the years, I've coached youth soccer, mentored our youth, mentored our young lawyers, and assisted our seniors through a variety of local nonprofit organizations and activities. Our community needs judges with experience balanced by honesty. I'm the most experienced person in Group 21. I hope for your vote on August 18th. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge, for joining us. We appreciate your time. And so in Group 34, Michael Kranick. Michael, thank you for joining us. We're glad you're with us.
Good evening, Jay, and good evening, members of the West Orange Chamber, and thank you so much. My name is Judge Mike Kranick, and I'm running to keep my job as a circuit court judge here in the 9th Judicial Circuit, Group 34. I'm a judge, I'm a coach, and I'm an educator. I'm a third-generation Floridian and a father of 2 boys. I've been endorsed by the Orlando Sentinel, by the West Orange Political Alliance, and several mayors of the West Orange community, including Apopka, Oakland, and Ocoee. My wife and I are both servants. I serve as a unified family judge focusing on thousands of paternity, divorce, and domestic violence cases. And my wife is a school teacher, and she's been so for over 15 years. I graduated from Florida State University and I attended law school here in Orlando at Barry University. When I was in law school, I was part of their mock trial program, and participating in that program led to my heart for service. Prior to serving as a judge for over a decade, I practiced business litigation and construction litigation. I tried cases before both judge and jury and argued before several of the Florida appellate level courts. In 2008, I started acting as an educator and a coach with a mock trial program, teaching my students every semester trial advocacy skills. My experience as a judge, as a trial lawyer, as a coach, and as an educator is why you should vote to keep Judge Mike Kranick this August. Thank you so much for your time and the opportunity.
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate you spending some time with us in the West Orange Chamber. And with that, let's go to Group 39, Vincent Falcone. Vincent, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the Chamber for putting on this event, and thank you to the West Orange Political Alliance for endorsing my candidacy. My name is Vincent Falcone. I'm a candidate for Circuit Judge in Group 39. I'm originally from right outside of New Orleans. My wife and I ended up in Central Florida when we evacuated here from Hurricane Katrina, and we've lived in West Orange County for the past decade. I'm a graduate of Columbia Law School, and I'm a partner with King Blackwell Zender in Wormouth. My primary practice area is complex commercial litigation. I represent our local businesses and business owners in resolving what are often their most important disputes. I'm excited to be running for Circuit Judge because I believe judges are public servants. I believe they should apply the law faithfully and neutrally, and I believe that they should provide the entire community with equal access to justice. Public service is important to me. I've served on the local legal aid board of trustees, and I've been a volunteer guardian ad litem representing the interests of abused and neglected children for the past 8 years. In addition to WOPA, I'm honored to have been endorsed by the Orlando Sentinel editorial board, our former Chief Judge Frederick Lawden, and over 24 past presidents of local legal organizations. Thank you, and I hope you'll vote for me in the August primary.
Thank you, Vincent. Appreciate your spending some time with us. And our final judge candidate is Mark Van Valkenburg. Mark, we're glad to see you tonight.
Thanks for having me. It's been a great event. My name is Mark Van Valkenburg. I'm pleased to have won the first two candidate Hob Nobs and very happy to be here now at the West Orange Hob Nob. Wish we could be there in person. I'm running for Circuit Judge Group 39 because I want to give back to the community in which my family has lived for more than 70 years. I'm endorsed by 17 Orange and Osceola County Bar presidents, several retired circuit judges, a number of past and present public officials, the Orlando, Orange, and Osceola County firefighters, and the working families of the AFL-CIO. More importantly, I am by far the most experienced candidate in this race. I'm the only candidate with jury trial experience, with criminal, civil, family, and juvenile law experience, and who has successfully managed his own business. I've always been involved with my community. Currently, I'm on the League of Women Voters Transportation Board Committee. I volunteer with Easter Seals. I used to be with Habitat for Humanity, and I've served my city both on the Charter Review Committee and as a member of the Board of Adjustments. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your voting for me, Mark Van Valkenburg, for Circuit Judge. I encourage you to look at my website, votevan4judge.com, before you make your decision. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. You honor us tonight with your presence. I just want you to know that tonight's event's a little bit outside of our brand. We're used to having a little bit more fun because we're kind of the fun chamber. So the next time I hope we show up and drink a little bit and have a little bit more fun. But thank you for your presence tonight. Okay, so we're going to a little bit of a commercial break, Krista? Or do you want me to roll on into, I know you want to make an announcement about the voting, is that correct?
Right, so I just want to let everybody know that we've extended the voting for a few more minutes because I know we've got more stuff happening and we're got more things going on. So we want to give you guys a little bit extra time to vote. So if you haven't done it now is the time to do it. And at the same time, I have the pleasure, not doing commercials anymore, but I have the pleasure of talking about the upcoming amendments that you'll see on the ballot in November, specifically the amendments that are altering the, or for the state constitution. And so I'm going to just do this quickly because you guys can read the screen just as easily as I can, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about these amendments. Amendment 1, which is about citizenship requirement to vote in Florida elections. Really, this amendment is just cleaning up some language in the Constitution. It provides that only United States citizens who are at least 18 years of age, a permanent resident of Florida, and registered to vote as provided by law shall be qualified to vote in Florida election. Don't worry, that's already happening. If you vote yes, you're supporting that they change the Constitution to state that only a citizen of the U.S. can vote in Florida. If you vote no, nothing changes. The Constitution stays as is, which is every citizen of the U.S. can vote in Florida. So we're just changing a few words on that amendment. And the next one, amendment number 2, is about raising Florida's minimum wage. And basically, it is exactly what it is. You raises the minimum wage to $10 per hour starting in 2021, and then every year it raises it by $1 until September of 2026, when it'll be $15. So if you vote yes for this, you're supporting the initiative to increase the state's minimum wage incrementally until reaching $15 per hour in September of 2026. Oops, I think we've got someone talking in the background, but I think we got it fixed.
I solved it.
Okay, thank you. And a vote no opposes the initiative to increase the state's minimum wage incrementally, and it will keep it at the current minimum wage of $8.46 per hour. All right, next amendment, Amendment 3. All voters vote in the primary elections for state legislature, governor, and cabinet. So basically what this does is it opens up the primary to the top two open primary system for primary elections. So if you vote yes, and this is only for the state legislators, the governor, and the cabinet, it's not for everything else, just these specific races. And so if you vote yes for this, you want to establish this to be an open voting election. If you vote no, you're opposing it, and everything stays the same way, doesn't change. I know Bill Cowles could have done a better job on that one, but there you go. So amendment number 4, voter approval of constitutional amendments. This requires that all proposed amendments or revisions to the state constitution to be approved by the voters in 2 elections instead of just 1. So I always call this buyer's remorse. You vote for it once and then you got to come back and vote for it again to make sure you really want it. So if you vote yes, you support requiring voter approved constitutional amendments to be approved by voters at a second general election. Or if you vote no, everything stays exactly the way it is. But remember, they have to be a 60% plus 1 vote to get approved. And then we have Florida Amendment number 5, limitations on household property tax assessments, an increased portability period to transfer accrued benefit. Okay, this is proposing an amendment to the state constitution effective January 21st to increase the time period in which you can use your Save Our Homes benefits that can be transferred. So if you vote yes for this, you support having those benefits go from 2 years to 3 years. And if you vote no, everything stays exactly the same. And I will just have you know, as I was reading that, the door opened and Stina told me to hurry up. So Florida Amendment number 6, ad valorem tax discount for spouses of certain deceased veterans who had permanent combat-related disabilities. You can read on the screen what happens if you vote yes, you support that. If you vote no, everything stays exactly the same. And that is what we have. There will also be 3 other additional amendments on the ballot, and those will be for the county charter. And you'll learn more about those, but that will be in November as well. So now I'm done talking about the amendments. I don't need Stina coming back and telling me to be quiet. So I'm going to come back now to speaker view. And Jay, I'm going to make it so it's all about you.
Well, I'm not used to that. I have 4 kids in the house and married to a redheaded Irish lady who's a lawyer, so I'm not used to being in the front and center. So here we go. Our final candidate parade. I know we have a couple videos that we may show. So Krista, let's make sure we coordinate this well. We have some final candidates to parade through everyone. And if my script is correct, we have a video correct for Melissa Bird, is that right?
We do, and I am going to go ahead and get that started right now. So please bear with me for just 1 second because it will take me a minute. to get
And by
this.
the way, if you ever show up to a West Orange Chamber Board meeting, Krista just loves to talk about these amendments. Like every meeting, she gives us an amendment update. It's kind of like, come on, Krista.
Sorry, I know. Okay, here comes Melissa Bird.
Hi, my name is Melissa Bird, and I'm your current Orange County School Board member for District 7. I'm running for re-election so that I can continue the hard work that I've started over the past 2 years in office. In just 2 short years, I've managed to finally change the Orange County dress code to not target our female students. I've gotten the first K-8 to be built in District 7, and 4 years early, I might add. I have still so many more things I want to work on, like dealing with our growth management issue, making sure that we have school facilities ready to go for children when we need them. But we have an unusual crisis we're dealing with right now. Over the next few months, we're going to need strong leadership to get us through it, and I want to be that person for District 7. I'm asking for your vote in August so that I can continue working for you. Thank you. My name is Melissa Bird, and I'm running for Orange County School Board District 7.
Thank you. And let me just, I want to state for everybody in fairness to Melissa, and I'm not sure if Pam Gould's joining us by video or in person, but it needs to be noted, one, in fairness, and two, in service, that Melissa and our school board is literally meeting as we speak. So that was a pre-planned meeting, and that's why Melissa is not joining us. That's why she's on video. So she thought enough of us to get a video ready, and appreciate her caring to do that. So with that, Krista, do we have Pam Gould and a video as well?
We sure do. Just one second.
So let's roll that, and then we have some more candidates that are live and in person. So now we have Pam Gould.
Hello, I'm Pam Gould, and I'm running for re-election for the Orange County School Board. Over my career, I've gained a reputation as a visionary leader through my senior roles in healthcare administration and not-for-profit management. It has been a privilege and an honor to serve District 4, collaborating with parents, the business community, OCPS staff, and stakeholders has helped us to prioritize and advance opportunities for our students. It has also been rewarding to help pave the way for more career and technical training. In fact, those trainings have increased by 271% in District 4. It is also through thoughtful governance that we've been able to advance 19 relief schools to help manage the growth in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. And again, let's all keep in mind, Pam is literally at a school board meeting now serving our community. So thank you for that. And so now we have, I believe, our final 2 candidates. If you haven't seen so far, you get 1 minute. And at about 1 minute and 5 seconds, Carrie, who's on your screen, will hit a mute button, and we don't want to do that. So we tried it with Stina, and it just, it's just never good to mute Stina. So with that, I want to introduce Dana Gott. Dana, am I pronouncing your last name right?
Yes, you are.
Well, good. Fantastic. So welcome. We're glad you're joining us at the West Orange Chamber Hob Nob. And please, you have 1 minute.
Thank you very much. My name is Dana Gott, and I'm running for Orange County School Board District 4. I'm a mom, former teacher and paramedic, and I have a master's degree in education, and I'm currently a doctoral candidate in educational leadership. I'm running because we need change now. The stakes are too high with COVID. The current Orange County plan cuts way too many corners. The Orange County plan does not add one single custodian to any school in Orange County. Our teachers are overworked with no support. We're still overcrowded. We haven't even begun to have the conversation about student mental health. And now we have to add survival guilt or the feeling that you gave COVID-19 to a loved one or a favorite teacher. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Dana Gott, and I'm running for Orange County School Board District 4. Thank you very much.
Dana, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And as I've said all along to you and now Joshua, we always have a little bit more fun at the West Orange Chamber.
I've been there.
COVID, so you'll just have to bear with us. So, and then our final candidate, last but certainly not least, Josh Adams, who is running for Florida Senate District 11. Josh, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jay. Josh Adams, I'm running for Florida Senate District 11. I am a U.S. Marine. I am a father of 2 small children, a husband, a small business owner, and a lawyer. I joined the Marine Corps out of high school, and I served as a non-commissioned officer in Afghanistan in a combat unit. After that, I got out and I used the GI Bill to go to college and to law school. Out of law school, I worked as a prosecutor in Orange and Osceola County for Loss and Lamar for several years before my wife and I started our own law practice. I believe in traditionally conservative concepts like smaller governments, lower taxes, lower regulations. Most importantly, I think to differentiate myself and my opponent, I believe in school choice. My opponent does not believe in school choice. I also believe in not limiting our law enforcement, actually increasing support of law enforcement. We don't fix bad neighborhoods by getting rid of law enforcement. They're the ones who want and need more law enforcement, good law enforcement. So those are two big differences. Josh Adams for Florida Senate, District 11.
Thank you, Josh. We appreciate you joining us. And as always, as I'm finishing up and thought we were done with candidates, I get a text from Stina, and we have a video from Vinay Francois. Is that correct, Krista?
It is Vina Francois, so let's get her going here.
And it's never good to get chewed out.
Hi, I'm Vina Francois, and I'm running for Congress here in Florida's 10th Congressional District. I'm running to represent you and your interest, and I hope you will vote for me in the upcoming election. I want to ensure you have access to the education, healthcare, and economic opportunities you need in order to succeed. This community is near and dear to my heart. I will also stand with all American communities who face unjust discrimination, violence, and the terror of human trafficking. I believe our justice reform must support our constitutional rights and human dignity. For me, it's about faith, family, and freedom, and ensuring more people are able to realize the promise of our great nation. Visit VinaForCongress.com to donate and to show your support. I hope to earn your vote in the upcoming election. Thank you, and God bless America.
Okay, so I think that's it for that portion of the night. I know now we're going to hear a message, I think, from Bill Cowles, and then hear the awesome election results from Krista and from Stina. So with that, I will turn it back over and do something my wife loves to do with me all the time, which is mute my line.
All right, thank you, Jay. And you know, this year we didn't get to have Bill Cowles, Supervisor of Elections, and so but I know we all miss him, so we've got him here to give us just a brief message.
Good afternoon, West Orange Chamber political hobnob participants and candidates. I'm Bill Cowles, your Orange County Supervisor of Elections. We missed the opportunity to be there in person to conduct the popular straw poll, but we are making adjustments in these times. Speaking of which, you can visit our website to find out the preparations for early voting sites and polling places for safe in-person voting. Don't forget, it's not too late to request the vote-by-mail ballot for the primary elections. Vote-by-mail ballots can be mailed back at least 5 days before the elections, dropped off here at our office, or dropped off at an early voting site. And coming to West Orange will be the Winter Garden Library, will be an early voting site this November, but you still have the other choices in your neighborhood for early voting location. Early voting will begin August 3rd through the 16th from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. each day. Keep your eye out in your mailbox. If you have a vote-by-mail request, your vote-by-mail ballot should already have arrived or soon will be. If you don't have a vote-by-mail request, your sample ballot will be arriving soon with a map to your polling place and information about early voting. Remember, you can always visit our website, ocfelections.com, or call our office at 407-836-VOTE to make sure your registration is up to date. Keep your records up to date will help ensure that you always receive important information from our office and avoid delays at the polls. Thank you for being engaged, and we hope to see you all in person at the next political hobnob.
Hey.
All right.
All right, so payback, Jay, you are now muted. I wish I had a fundraiser for that. No, we'd be broke. Nobody wants to mute you. But since you are muted, and you know, I got muted before, and I know everybody wants to hear the results from the vote, and I know we have them, or just about have them, probably the fastest results. You know, the United States government should figure out how to do it as well as we're going to do it. But I got cut off in my campaign when I was running for president with Dr. Fauci as my vice presidential candidate. After I said the country was going to be great again, or whatever I said what I wanted to say, and I got cut off. The Roman Empire will rule again. So somebody from my staff's heads, or all staff members' heads, are going to roll, because I thought that was funny too. But you cut me off, but that's okay. But Jay, I love the idea of the fundraiser to mute me. It can be honestly any and all board meetings, as long as we're virtual. If we can get $1,000 from every board member to mute me, I'm all on board. Because as you know, chambers of commerce have not yet qualified for PPP. So that might be the next best thing for us.
Stina, I think it is. In fact, I'm going to nominate John McReynolds and Randy June to be the first people that step up and do this. So those of you that are West Orange Chamber board members, please text those two now and tell them the awesome opportunity that they have.
And as their prize for that, I'm going to text them the photo of you with your shorts and flip-flops on. I promise I didn't do that, and that's not why everybody's asking you.
I can't win. I'm going to mute my line. I'm done.
All right.
So Krista, do we think we're ready for the results?
We are ready for the results.
Okay.
All right. So, for President of the United States.
Tina Duva. Oh, no, you didn't put my name on the ballot. That really annoys me. Okay, next.
Hey, you were supposed to mute her then.
He doesn't have that control.
No, I don't have that. I'm just a chamber board member.
He's just watching the show now. Okay, so President, who's
all right? Sorry. Okay, so I'm sorry, Stina. I'm sorry to say that you did not win this election, but we do have Donald J. Trump with 55% of the vote and Joe Biden with 45% of the vote. All right, so now for Congress, District 10, we have Val Demings with 51% of the vote and Vina Francois with 49% of the vote. All right, and State Attorney, 9th Judicial Circuit, we had Mr. Belvin Perry with 41%, Deborah Lynn Barra with 21%. Oh, it was a tie between her and Ryan Williams. They both had 21% of the vote. Jose Torella, he had 11%, and Monique Worrell had 6%.
What's next?
And for State Senator District 11, Randolph Bracey with 54% of the vote, and Joshua Adams had 46% of the vote. Keeping on with State Senators, District 15, we have a tie with Victor Torres and Louis Menace. They both had 46% of the vote, and Michael James had 7% of the vote. And State Representative, District 44, we had Bruno Portigliatti. Say it for me, Stina, because I always say it wrong.
Well, I say Portigliatti, but he said I don't even know. It's Portigliatti.
Okay. Bruno won with...
Stina, let the person pronounce his own name. I mean, come on.
Well, I can't, you see, I try to say it the Americanized way, and I just can't do it. It's not in my DNA. I am so sorry, but I think he said Portigliatti.
Now, welcome to the world of Stina.
No matter how you say his last name, Bruno had 41% of the vote, and Geraldine Thompson was close behind with 39%. Frank Blanco had 14%, and Andy Farrell had 6%. Moving along to Orange County Sheriff, Mr. John Mina had 70% of the vote, Joe Lopez 18%, Andrew Darling with 7%, Eric McIntyre 3%, and Daryl Shepard closed it out with 1%. Now we go to Property Appraiser. The winner in this race was Amy Mercado with 59% of the vote. Rick Singh had 22%, and Khalid Munir followed up with 19%. Circuit Judge, 9th Judicial Circuit Court, Group 1, Rhiannon Arnold had 51%, and Michaela Nix had 49%. And in Group 21, Alan Apt had 65% for the winner, and Christy Collins had 35%. Moving to Group 34, Mike Kranick was the winner with 78% of the vote, and Amrita Singh with 22%. I have to say this is not as exciting as when we're doing it in live in person.
I know, because there's a lot of hooting and hollering and people yelling and screaming and going crazy. I'm sure they are doing that at home.
I'm sure they are
doing that in their offices. Jay really wants to do it, but he's being very calm and a consummate professional.
All right, so I'm sorry, going back to Circuit Judge, 9th Judicial Circuit, Group 39, Vincent Falcone with 61% is the winner, and Mark Van Valkenburg had 39%. Now we move to Board of County Commissioners, District 1. Our own Betsy Vanderlei had 68% of the vote, and Nicole Wilson had 32% of the votes. For our Board of County Commissioners, District 3, Myra Uribe, she's the winner with 44% of the vote. Peter Clark had 42% and Bill Moore at 14%. And for District 5 for Orange County Commission, Mike Miller is the winner with 45%. Emily Bonilla has 35% of the vote, and Anjali Vaya had 20% of the vote. Moving to School Board, District 4, Pam Gould has 71% of the vote. Dana Gott, 15%, and Prince Brown, 13%. And in School Board Member District 5, Bruce Antone had 41% of the vote, and Michael Scott, 37% of the vote, and Vicki Elaine Felder with 22%. And in District 6, Karen Castor Dental won with 69% of the vote, and Jonathan Hacker finished with 31% of the votes. And finally, in the school board races, District 7, Melissa Bird was the winner with 65%, Erica Bell with 25% of the vote, and Janetta Maxina had 10% of the vote. All right, now to those constitutional amendments.
You've been waiting on this all night, Crystal. So this is your moment. So come on.
Here it is. Okay.
How excited she does get over these amendments. It really is a little pathetic. But okay, Krista, go ahead. Tell us how the voters voted.
We all have our own vices. All right. So the first constitutional amendment that you voted on was for amending the county charter, and it is called Prohibiting Pollution of the Wekiva River, the Conalachi River, and all other waters of Orange County. In this race, 59% of you voted yes, and 41% of you voted no. All right, and the second amendment that you guys voted on was raising Florida's minimum wage, which we talked about earlier. And in this one, 56% of you voted no, and 44% of you voted yes. All right, and the third thing that you voted on, let's see, is all voters vote in the primary elections for state legislature, governor, and cabinet. And here, I just want to make sure I'm saying this right. This is number 3, and I'm going back to my results. Sorry, guys. This one, once again, 51% of you voted no, and 49% voted yes. And last but not least, the fourth constitutional amendment that you guys voted on was about having the, if you want to change the Constitution, whether you have to vote once on it or twice, and 54% of you said no, we only want to vote once, and 46% of you voted for yes. So those are the results. Everybody, there it is. Our Hob Nob.
Remember to pass the amendments, Krista, remember we do know it's 60%. So some of these would not have made it.
That is true. That is very true.
Krista has taught me something, or Bill Cowles, or both of them.
So are these election results going to be certified by you by drinking red wine tonight? What's the official election certification process that takes place here, Stina?
I believe we continue with whatever we were drinking prior to the start of the event.
Good.
I'm not
Okay.
saying what's in this white styrofoam cup, which was supposed to be beer. Krista, I think she's been really good, and she's had same thing. Okay, so I want to thank Jay Galbraith. I know he was the perfect choice for this evening. He practiced with us for like an hour. I want to thank my team because these Zoom things are not as easy as you think they are. I think they did a better job than the Congressional Committee yesterday with the 4 high-tech geniuses. I think they did better than they did yesterday. So thank you to the team. Thank you so much to all of the attendees. Thank you, thank you, thank you to each and every one of the candidates, because the event was about you. Thank you for sharing your vision for our community. I know all of this is really important. So thank you again to the sponsors. We wouldn't be able to do this without Orlando Health as our presenting sponsor, and of course UCF and Charter Communications and Walt Disney World and the West Orange Political Alliance and Observer Media Group. Wonderful partners of the Chamber. I so appreciate each and every single one. I want to thank the Chamber team who did make this virtual event happen. So thank you to Carrie, who you haven't seen, but she's in the back, she's in the conference room working really hard, texting people, keeping it all together. Krista, for everything that she's done. The 2 Tracys, Tracy Solly and Tracy Seaback, for helping us. And we hope to restore the entire Chamber team in the next week because we have, because we have suffered as other small businesses have, but we want to bring them back. So thank you so much to each and every one of you. I think I've said everything I wanted to say. And Jay, you told me I should elongate the Chamber brand, but I don't think you meant by me extending my speeches because you cut me off.
No.
But at the board meeting, $1,000 if you ever want to do it again.
Let's go. All right.
And I just want to remind everybody that you can learn all about the candidates that participated tonight by visiting wochamber.com. You'll see the Hob Nob link there. You will also see these results posted there, and we'll also post them on Facebook too.
And we will send a post email out, so share that with all your friends so the sponsors can get more credit, the candidates can be seen by everybody. We'll be getting that out tomorrow. Hope you have a great night. If you are leaving your workplace, wherever you're going in public, please remember to wear a mask. And here's my Star Spangled Banner one. Another way to shut me up.
Duct tape.
Good night, everyone.
All right.
Good night.
Bye.
Remember to vote August 18th.